I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to do this Atticus Hour on a Wednesday, but unfortunately I have to. We forgot to do it on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, and now it's Wednesday. Hopefully I don't get fired. Let's just wait and see. So we'll be learning about 3 other U.S. presidents today. And yeah, let's talk about that. So our first one is James K. Polk. Now, this guy is only 1 inch taller than my brother. He's 5 foot. James K. Polk is 5'7". My brother's 5'6". I don't get that. And also, James K. Polk was the first president to, when he walked into the White House, Hail of the Chief would play when the president entered like a room. Also, he and his wife, Sarah, held the first national Thanksgiving. So that was pretty interesting. Now on to his presidency. James K. Polk, when he was running for election, his slogan was, "Who is James K. Polk?" There was really only 2 answers to that: the Democratic candidate and a man that would be liked by many. Or, number 2, manifest destiny. When he came into the presidency, of course, John Tyler, which we talked about yesterday, I still have him right here. He had made the annexation of Texas, which made Texas and Mexico, do their thing. And as I said, 2 years later, in 1846, they would get into a war. Yeah. Polk tried to solve the problem once he came into the presidency, but they wouldn't listen. His second option was war. And then he led the American troops under Zachary. He told General Zachary Taylor to lead the American troops in the war, and it lasted until 1848. Then you have when the treaty with Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed, and that ended the war. There was also when Washington, Idaho, and Montana all became part of the Union. And also, he opposed the Wilmot Proviso Bill. And then he really just left office. He was like, I don't want to serve a second term. I think that's just enough for me. Even if he did get a second term, little did he know he was going to die 3 months into his term. And then George M. Dallas would have to become the 12th president. But, of course, none of that happened. Next, we go later, like 40 decades later, and you have Grover Cleveland. Now, this name may sound familiar, maybe, I don't know, but it definitely sounds familiar to me. I know a lot about him. He is famous for one thing. He served 2 non-consecutive terms in office. And I'm going to talk about both his terms today because it wouldn't make sense if I talked about one of his terms today and another term and another Atticus Hour. It wouldn't make sense. So I'm just going to talk about him. So, Grover Cleveland ran in the election of 1884, which probably became a really dirty campaign. It was with him as the Democratic Party versus James G. Blaine for the Republican Party, who had been in James A. Garfield's cabinet. I talked about him on the Atticus Hour number 4, the James and John edition. But anyway, so really both candidates were called into question. And we're like, who do we vote for? Both of these had very scary scandals. First, we have some poetry involved. So, Grover Cleveland's poem was, like, that people would be like, "Mama, where's my pa?" And then the Democrats would be like, "Gone to the White House, ha ha ha." It was okay, and also, they didn't even know that if they should vote for Grover Cleveland because he also had a skeleton in his closet, which the Republicans were also quick to expose. So they were wondering, like, should we vote for this guy? But also James G. Blaine has had some problems. Like, he had been caught, doing some illegal stuff and legal corruption. And so then the Republicans' poems, the Republican poem was Blaine, James G. Blaine, Continental Liar from the state of Maine. Yes, it is a coincidence that he was from Maine, or else that poem would have never happened. So really it was a close race at the end. The voters did decide to keep Blaine in Maine, and so Cleveland was just hopping his way to the White House. Grover Cleveland is known to be the only president to get married in the White House. In 1886, once he came into the presidency, he was a bachelor. In 1886, he married Frances Folsom, who became his wife. And quick fact, actually some of Grover Cleveland's wedding cake survives today. Please don't eat it. Please don't eat it. It's disgusting. It dates all the way back to 2 centuries from now. Come on. Don't eat it. But anyway, I can't believe that's really it for Grover Cleveland's first term. There's really nothing to say about him in his first term. In the election of 1888, Grover Cleveland did not do almost like anything in his presidency. He was also a little racist, and so the people felt like not voting for him. And the popular vote for the election, Cleveland won that, though the Republican candidate Benjamin Harrison won the Electoral College. As soon as Cleveland departed and Frances departed from the White House, Frances said to the staff of the White House, "Please keep the house nice and clean because we'll be back." of course, that came true, and after Benjamin Harrison's whole term, in the election of 1892, Grover Cleveland became the first and only president ever to serve 2 non-consecutive terms in office. Look at that. 1885 to 1889 and 1893 to 1897. That's why this guy's so interesting. But anyway, as soon as he came into the presidency again, the Panic of 1893 started, and Cleveland made all these stupid ideas, like he arrested some people from walking on the grounds of the Capitol. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, something that made it worse was the gold standard. People were fighting about whether the government should use gold or silver. People thought gold because, everybody wants gold. They don't want silver. Because gold they thought was more valuable. But the government allowed gold and silver. This fight lasted through the panic and made everything just worse. And of course, in 1896, Cleveland was dropped from the Democratic ticket because that's what you would do if you came to a president like this in a second term. I really wish that Grover Cleveland had only served 1 term. I think it's what fit for him. So that's for him. That's it for him. And now we have Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford. Did I talk about Gerald Ford already? I actually might have. Yeah. It's okay. I did talk about him, though it's okay. I have the deck right here. I'll set this aside. Pick a different president. I have a whole list of presidents right here, so I might just want to pick from them. Let's see. Let's just pick this guy. No, that's Benjamin Harrison. I don't want to pick the guy right in between Grover Cleveland. I want to pick somebody at the end. That's Jimmy Carter. Ooh. To make my mom proud. Okay. Yeah. My mom's favorite president is Jimmy Carter. Anyway, Jimmy Carter. I have not talked about this guy. There's not a lot to talk about him, though I would agree. Carter was one of the best presidents, in my opinion, we've ever had. Anyway, Carter, I think Carter, in one way, is liked by my mom because he's not racist at all. He made some very good decisions, and in fact, it wasn't his fault that he was disliked. In his presidency in 1978, he made peace treaties between Israel and Egypt. These countries had been arguing a lot, and it was Carter's turn to try to stop that and try to, get everything settled. In 1979, gas was a huge problem, and I'm just gonna skip that because it was important to everything, but it's not so important for what I'm talking about here. So, 1980 is a bigger problem. There comes the hostage crisis, where 52 hostages were caught in Iraq. They had to just be brought back. Now, Carter could have just been dropping bombs. He didn't want that, though. He didn't think we should just start going into another war. He was like, I'm just going to settle this out peacefully. I don't want there to be any arguments. So that's what he did. And in 1980, he was defeated by Ronald Reagan, being defeated in 40 states. But that was really it for him. And Carter is still living today. And oh, by the way, I made a mistake. It wasn't Iraq, it was Iran. Forgive me. I don't want to get fired for that either. But that is it. I hope this video wasn't too long. I made 3 decisions that might get me fired. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.